Maniacs, welcome back to the channel. Your local bedhead here. First off, before we get this video started, I want to say thank you all to the newest Maniacs who jumped on board on my channel. Really appreciate what I had to say about the whole Corey and Elton situation because, let's be real, you guys blew me up. You guys really started to really hit that subscribe button. I just got no words. I literally have no words. I know this is like a typical cliched thing to do for a YouTuber. I mean, that's kind of sad we even have to say that now because it's been used so many times, but it's literally all you can say. Whenever you hit this, 10,000 subscriber mark, like, that was crazy to me. And then to 20,000 and now 30,000. I mean, we're on the verge of, we're going to 40,000 and then 50,000 and maybe even someday 100,000. Just being myself, just talking about things I'm passionate about, I find very interesting, and it seems like a lot of you guys too. So if you have not, hit that subscribe button, like the videos, it really means a lot. And before we really get into this reaction, we're going to be reacting to TheSideEyeGuy, by the way. Really cool content creator. Have had a conversation with him once or twice over his live streams and whatnot, and the guy seems really genuinely awesome. So if you have not, go support the original content creator, TheSideEyeGuy, on YouTube. He's a funny, cool debunker with the original video. This is going to be diving, again, back into the Conjuring drama. Skeptic exposes what it's really like overnight at the Conjuring House, and I'm assuming, if I had to guess, he means by this is the Conjuring House, I feel like, has been made out to be something it's not. Are the owners to blame? Are the content creators going there to blame? I've been told by several people who've actually gone to the Conjuring House that it's not as haunted as most of them make it out to be, to tell you, like, they want you guys to believe this house is really insanely scary. Something's going to happen to you when you go into the basement, and that might not even be the case. I do feel like there was a lot of fraudulence going on there, and I'm not really satisfied with the way the owner has been kind of presenting it and presenting herself on social media. But we're going to go ahead and dive into this video, and of course I'll give you guys my personal opinions during and after. And again, I just want to say thank you so much, guys, for checking me out and giving me a chance. It wouldn't happen without you guys. It really wouldn't. Like, you guys literally are the chain that binds me to the success of what YouTube is. So thank you so much. I don't know if that made any sense, but I'm gonna go with it because it kind of felt right. The Grimmy Bar.
Hey, segues. I'd imagine most of you who clicked on this video have some impression or knowledge of The Conjuring House. Whether it be the movies, Cody as a Tory, or maybe you've watched some of the many YouTube ghost hunting channels who have been scared half to death while inside the infamous Conjuring.
Guilty. I've seen a lot of these, man. Sam and Colby, actually, believe it or not, that was my introduction into the paranormal on YouTube, actually. Sam and Colby. Have my opinions changed about them? Of course, going down the road and stuff. I've seen some weird things happening in here and there, and that kind of makes me question and whatnot. Do I still love the fucking guys? Of course I do. I'm wearing their merch right now. I genuinely enjoy their content. I enjoy a lot of people's content. I'm very much an open-minded person, and it's just interesting. It's all fascinating to me. Is that weird? Am I actually losing it? I don't know. But yeah, there's been a lot of investigations here at places that you won't believe what we saw at the real Conjuring House. Is the Conjuring House actually haunted? The night we talked to demons, the real Conjuring House, that was 2 years ago. Holy shit.
Conjuring House. This video here today isn't about our investigation at the Conjuring House. Those videos will be found on Entity 7 Paranormal and Weeping Willow's channels. But unfortunately, our investigation will not be on my channel.
Sorry, my fucking computer's having a stroke. I was gonna say, heck yeah, man. Heck yeah, I still gotta watch your documentary. I think it's on Tubi, if I'm not mistaken.
Entity 7 Paranormal and Weeping Willow's channels. But unfortunately, our investigation will not be on my channel, and I will explain why this is a little later in the video. But if you want to watch our investigations of our night at the Conjuring House in full, please go watch these videos here. The link will be in the description. In this video you're watching right now, I am going...
Hit the like button if you guys want me to go over there and check out Joe Vitale's videos, because I certainly will. I've been meaning to check him out for a long time. And if TheSideEyeGuy's involved, I'm definitely going to want to watch it.
To explain what you are to expect when booking for the Conjuring House under the current owner, Jacqueline Nunez. There has been some recent controversy surrounding Jacqueline on how she has treated some of her now ex-caretakers at the Conjuring House. So I'm going to share some of my thoughts on this recent controversy, but then I'll get back on topic on why you actually clicked on this video in the first place. Because when I explain some of the details on what it's like actually being at the Conjuring House and booking with the Conjuring House, it may really surprise you. So, Jacqueline Nunez last week sent out a Facebook post which honestly just sounded like the ramble.
Yeah, I read that. I have a video where I read that. If you guys haven't seen it, go check it out. She, of course, replaced it. I'm not sure if he's going to mention that. She replaced it with a video. Like the post wasn't even taken. The post wasn't even taken down. She literally replaced it with like a video of some sort of creepiness happening in the Conjuring House. But this was the original post. A lot of us screenshotted it, and I shared it, of course, because this is, I feel like, how she actually feels about a lot of this shit. And it shouldn't be just taken down because she got a little bit hurt that a lot of people weren't agreeing with her. If this is how you feel, be honest about it. And she was certainly honest. Now, a lot of us disagreed. I'm certainly one of them. I'm like, okay, this is not the way you should be going about this, but I'd say don't take it down and try to act like nothing happened. That rubs me the wrong way entirely, because that just kind of gives me a fake vibe about you. Like you're too afraid to be honest about how you feel, and then when people start getting up and uppity about you, you're gonna like remove what you say and double down on it. And it's like, yeah, if you feel this way, go for it. But I'm just gonna tell you, it's not the right way to go about it. And it's just unfortunate that someone owns a property as beloved as the Conjuring House. I've always wanted to go there. I've always wanted to go investigate that place. But as it stands right now, I just have no interest. Unfortunately, and it sucks for me to say, because I actually loved that first Conjuring film. I went to the theaters, and it was the first time I walked out of the theater shaking. Now, do I believe in the 100% what the movie was, depicting and stuff? No, of course not. Bathsheba Sherman got a lot of shit, even knowing it was never documented or proven that she actually was what Lorraine Warren said she was. It's a bummer, because there's no actual documentation of a witch. There's just not. Simply and bluntly, there's just not. And that name will be forever tainted by those films, and it sucks, because look, that character Bathsheba Sherman in the movie was terrifying. I see people making sculptures of her today, and I'm like, oh my god, that is so cool. I want one of those in the background. But yeah, the fact that it's based on a true person, it kind of breaks my heart, to be honest, because there's no proof, and yet we've kind of labeled her as what she is, a witch who killed a baby, and I don't know.
Scrambled thoughts off a nutter. Reading between the lines, she accused Cody and Satori, everyone's favourite toe-tapping couple, of faking their ghost communicating methods.
Yeah, no shit, Sherlock.
She then goes on a tirade of abuse and just keeps swearing over and over again in a way that makes her come across as an angry, unhinged person. Honestly, Jacqueline, if continuing your ownership of the Conjuring House is having this kind of effect on you, just sell it. I'm sure it's worth a pretty penny, and you have no shortage of buyers. Shortly after Jacqueline made this Facebook post,
there are so many people who would jump on the opportunity to pay her even probably the amount she's wanting exactly to get that house. And I hope it happens. It's sad for me to say. The first time I saw Jacqueline, I didn't have no issues. I thought she was, it seemed like a fine person, but the more that we started seeing these posts, I was just like, this is not the person you would want running a business, like, at all. She can't take anybody else's criticisms worth of nothing, and she outrages and goes after people who are against everything the Conjuring House stands for. You know what was crazy about that post is that she actually called Satori and Cody, not specifically, but we already know who she's talking about, as fraudulent. When the post before that, she was against people calling Cody and Satori fraudulent. And she even called us toxic individuals. Our business is not for you types. We're not going to let you come in and ruin what we have going. And then all of a sudden she calls them fraudulent. And then even still tries to make it sound like you're terrible, you're evil and wicked if you say anything against the Conjuring House. It's just, oh my god, the hypocrisy here is just crazy. And then she tries to say she loves freedom of expression, and then she won't even accept anything that anybody else is saying. It's just, I can't stand people like that. I really can't.
Jason Hawes hosted a live stream where he had a bunch of the ex-caretakers of the Conjuring House on the live stream, as well as Cody and Satori themselves, who of course were also Conjuring House caretakers. They were all giving their side on the stories and explaining that Jacqueline Nunez is a toxic boss to work for. I'm not going to get too bogged down with what was said on this live stream, so please go watch the whole thing for yourself. It was a very interesting watch, but I can't help but come away from the whole thing with the mindset that it's pretty rich for Cody and Satori, of all people, complaining about others being dishonest.
I actually recorded my reaction to this live stream, and I might post it on Patreon or members. Obviously, I don't want to post the full thing, but I went ahead and recorded my reaction, and I got to be honest, I felt the same way as you. I did. Everything that was being said out of their mouths I just almost let it go right over my head. because I just don't trust anything they say. And that's so sad. That sucks, because this is a situation that should be taken seriously. Like this, if this was a real toxic work environment, you really wish you could give them like the benefit of the doubt. But at the same time, it's like I really can't bring myself to trust anything they say. It sucks. And I know a lot of people give me shit for liking Jason Hawes. And look, I grew up watching Jason. I've always thought the guy was a blunt, honest dude. He's already said many times that he is biased towards Satori and Cody because that's his daughter and his future son-in-law. So it's not like I can't blame him for wanting to say, you know, I obviously think he believes in things, but I truly believe the method is false. It's fake. I think they were absolutely taking advantage of people. That's just my personal thoughts on the matter. You don't have to agree with me. You can have your own opinion, of course. I respect everybody's opinions. If you truly believe that they are legit, just know that I do believe that all of the information that you need to show that they're not legit has been put out there. So it would be up to you just whether if you want to at some point just try to believe in that what they are saying or not. It's up to you. But I personally don't buy it. And it's because I've known people like them. I've known those kind of responses. That's one of the reasons why. The way they answer, they talk about or answer certain questions in interviews and how they laugh about it and they say that's ridiculous. How could, you know, oh yeah, that like we can do that. And just those kind of responses to me have been overly used so much within like human history that I just know right away that is just not an honest response. So, yeah.
I'm not saying it's right for what Jacqueline accused them of, but when you make the decision to lie for a living, it's hard to garner any kind of sympathy.
I agree.
At least from me. As I said earlier,
No, you're spot on, man. 100%. I completely agree. It was very much hard to take what they said seriously at all.
Were other ex-employees of Jacqueline's on Jason's live stream, and it's really good to see Jason giving those people a platform to voice their grievances on how they were treated by Jacqueline while working at the Conjuring House. But for Cody and Satori to moan about any of this just feels like bullshitters bullshitting about another bullshitter. It's like some great big bullshit sandwich. Anyway, let's get back on track with the main subject of this video. When you book for the Conjuring House, you do so on the Conjuring House website. Unsurprisingly, the Conjuring House isn't free, you know, far from it. And some of you may be surprised about just how expensive the Conjuring House has become while under the ownership of Jacqueline Nunez. At the time of booking for our group to go to the Conjuring House, I was screen sharing with Joe Fatale from Entity 7 Paranormal, so I read all of the same terms and conditions that he did.
Are you a content creator for a social media platform and film or production company? See the corresponding section below.
Joe made the down payment.
Are you a social media influencer, YouTuber, or another type of content creator? If so, do you have under 1,500 followers, subscribers? If so, can book under an overnight investigation, but you must notify us and sign a social media contract.
For our stay at the Conjuring House, and his channel is under 15,000 subscribers, so that made it all a little bit cheaper. We also decided to make ourselves available for a Monday night investigation, which also made our stay a bit...
Which I don't like either. I don't like that. I think all content creators should probably be paid, pay around the same amount, because some content creators simply just are not making the money that these people assume they're making. That's just the reality. They're... Like for me, for example, if I were to go to the Conjuring House, most of my, if not, I'd say relatively, I'm just going to take a kind of a guess here, 75% of my content is demonetized. I have turned monetization off. And most of the time when I do it, I already know it's going to get a copyright claim anyway because I'm a reactor. I react to a lot of people's content, so there's just no way. And it is what it is. I don't make that much money off YouTube. One of the reasons why I'm working another job is because I would never be able to support myself off of the money I make off YouTube. So if I were to go to the Conjuring House, I'd of course have to probably save up my own money that I make out of my other job, right? Like for like groceries and stuff like that, you know, bills of course, and all of that great stuff. And I'd have to save up slowly for me to even want to attempt to do this. And even then, even if you do pay for it, there is no guarantee that they would even let you post your video. Or at least not the video that you might want to post, because it has to be up to their standards of what you post, because they have permission, if you sign this thing, to pretty much look at your video and tell you if they like it or not. So let's say if you don't catch anything, they might tell you no, because we don't want to give the wrong impression that nothing happened at the house, right? I mean, or whatever have you, whatever their reasons are. So Sunday through Thursday, $1,200 a night for 6 people. That's not a cheap amount, but for 6 people, that's not horrible, I guess, but that is not cheap by any means. Friday and Saturday, $1,500 a night for up to 8 people, $160 per person and additional guests.
cheaper. But even with saving a bit of money here and a bit of money there, after taxes, this cost Joe around $1,500 for the night, because he also had to pay for an extra person who unfortunately had to cancel last minute. But still, $1,500. For context, the Bel Air house was just under $500, and that was also to stay for the whole night. But there's more. After this booking, we must have missed in some very small print, because really, this should have been made far more obvious to us at the time of booking, that for this $1,500, that only permits one channel to film for.
What a fucking load! No! I was just assuming you didn't post it because it was already posted on another channel. No, you didn't have permission to, because you would have had to have paid more money if you wanted to post it on your channel. Get the fuck out of here. I had no idea. That's crazy.
The purpose of uploading to YouTube.
There can be only one.
Literally.
But there were 3 channels in our group, including myself. After emailing the Conjuring House to clarify some of this confusion, they told us that on any given night, there was a maximum of only 2 channels that were allowed to film for the intention of uploading to YouTube. But this second channel had to pay another additional fee. And this additional fee was $800 and...
Oh my god! Genuinely. What kind of bullshit? Oh, that's crazy.
$50. So this brought the total price of our group to stay for one night at the Conjuring House at $2,350 US.
Now I have no money?
Here are some Rhode Island Airbnbs that are cheaper for the price that we paid at the Conjuring House. And these Airbnbs can host a group as big as our group was. Since Entity 7 Paranormal and Weeping Willow Paranormal, please go to their channels to subscribe, they're great by the way, are paranormal investigating channels, I thought it'd be best that they film content for their channels. Since I'm a debunker, I can react to their videos, of which I will get round to doing, so please subscribe to my channel if you want to see that.
Absolutely,
so this is why I said at the beginning of this video that I have no videos of our investigation on
really
the
sucks.
TheSideEyeGuy channel.
I'm actually genuinely sorry to hear that, man. That really must irk. That must have irked you at the time so bad. Wow, that's a low-key scummy thing to do. I'm sorry, like, I'm not trying to be a dick, but that was a low-key scummy thing to do. Small print, so you have to really look. Get out of here with that, man. That really pisses me off, actually.
Because I was not allowed to film for the purpose of uploading to my channel. But just to be clear here, even if I wanted to pay a shit ton of money to film during our investigation, I was not allowed to. This is a 2-channel per night limit. And this is also why I had to film my solo Conjuring House basement livestream on Entity 7 Paranormal's channel. I do not know of any other haunted locations with a rule like this.
No,
you can go to Waverly Hills with a huge group, and as long...
We want to investigate there, by the way. When we hit 100,000, me and the channels Zawoki have talked about actually going there and investigating. Like, one of us starts on one side of the building and another starts on the other side, and we work our way towards each other, if that's even possible. But that was actually a plan of ours. So maybe if you guys want to see that, subscribe to the channel. See if we can get up to 100,000, and we'll see what we can do. So, pretty cool. To be frankly honest with you, I haven't done a lot of research on different paranormal locations, but to be frankly honest, this is the first time I've actually heard of small print like that. That is aggravating. I won't lie.
As you pay the price to film for commercial purposes, as many channels can film on that night in that location as you want. So, before I even get to the Conjuring House, I'm not off to the best start with it. But then, there is even more red tape, which we did not realise at the time of making the actual booking. Before you are allowed to upload your video to YouTube, you must first provide that video to the Conjuring House team, and then they will tell you if it is approved to go on YouTube. And since you are signing a contract...
Why the fuck does it matter if you're paying that much money anyways? Maybe that's not a lot of money to them, but like to just... average goers, man, who want to go and actually investigate this location, that is not a small amount by any means necessary. And then even still, you have to get permission to post it. Get the fuck out of here with that. I'm sorry. Like, I'm really genuinely sorry, but that is like rip your hair out kind of crap.
Giving them permission to do this.
No provoking, taunting, ridiculing, or verbal abuse of the spirits. No crossing over spirits or attempts to remove any spirits. No casting of spells at the house, spirits, or objects, which I'm seeing many YouTubers do, by the way, at this location. So, the fuck with all those rules, right? No seances or channeling of spirits. God, they really, for that much money, they really just put down a lot of rules. Like the respecting and stuff, you know, I can get. But like, no drones, no taping down wires, no taping things to walls or doorways or windows. I can understand that one. No pre-recorded live streams. Live stream limit of 2 hours total. Why the hell does it matter? If they're booking the place for the entire night, why does it matter what they do with live streams? I just don't understand all of these rules. Like, I don't get it. It's actually aggravating because it's like you...
God knows what kind of legal troubles you could get into. So I suppose there is a chance that you could pay around $1,500 for your evening to film at the Conjuring House, and then if the Conjuring House say so, your video will never see the light of day on YouTube.
So you paid all that money for nothing. It's basically what, you just said.
There'll be some other haunted locations that also do this same thing, but as far as I can tell, it's really not very common at all. And this is why it's taken me this long to get this video out on YouTube, because I wanted to wait first for Weeping Willow Paranormal and Entity 7 Paranormal to have their videos first approved by the Conjuring House. Because, you know, I'm a debunker and I might not necessarily say the nicest things about my time at the house. And just on the off chance that the Conjuring House might have been vindictive, I didn't want to give them any reasons to deny my friends' videos. But to be fair,
that was very respectful and classy of you, man, and I appreciate respectful and classy individuals.
I have no idea if the Conjuring House would even care about my silly little video. I just didn't want to take the risk. So, let's skip to the last thing we had to do before even setting foot inside the...
I don't know, man. They might, because they clearly give a shit about people having opinions that they view as negative. They might...
Conjuring House.
Hopefully not.
Sign the waiver. Which might sound like a boring standard kind of thing to do, but when you actually read this waiver, it's insane. So I'm not going to read the whole thing, but let's just focus on the important bits. It starts off with warnings of weak, uneven, and even broken floorboards, which is all pretty standard when you see the age of this house. But of course we get into stuff like violent spiritual attacks, attachments, and even objects, spirits, or other people falling on or striking you. Yeah, okay, whatever that means. But at number 25, we get the very real danger of wild animals. But of course, the Conjuring House even has to take this too far. And all wildlife, known or unknown...
You know what's crazy? During Sam and Colby's visit at the Conjuring House, they actually went out to like a shack, and there was something moving around inside the shack, and I think they acknowledged it was probably an animal, so that's at least good, but they never proved it was or anything. So it has snakes, coyotes, bears, foxes, squirrels, and all wildlife known to unknown, including Bigfoot and extraterrestrials. Bigfoot's out there. No kidding. No kidding. I love that they put Bigfoot in there. Honestly, probably not, but like as a Bigfoot fan, I actually do love Bigfoot stuff. I kind of like that. And I love aliens. Oh, God. Oh. Can I go extraterrestrial hunting? My God, please.
Including Bigfoot and extraterrestrials.
What's going on, man?
I mean, for the love of God. I have never heard anyone ever claim that Bigfoot is even in Rhode Island, let alone around the Conjuring House.
Yeah.
And we're even talking about aliens now. Jacqueline Nunez and the Conjuring House team are just trying their absolute best to shoehorn in as much dumb paranormal bullshit into this waiver as they possibly can. And honestly,
I will say about the extraterrestrial stuff, I'm pretty positive. I've heard a live stream or a video with Andrea Perrin talking about the existence of extraterrestrials and that possibly extraterrestrials could have been involved with the paranormal at that location. So I'm not saying that's 100% a fact, but I do slightly remember watching some sort of interview where she talks about that stuff. So maybe that one kind of makes sense, I guess, in there, but is it likely? Probably not. Probably not.
Embarrassed signing my name onto that waiver. Anyway, now we finally get into the bloody house. And before I go any further, I'd like to introduce historian Jamie Rubio into this video, as she knows a lot of things about the real history of the Conjuring House. Okay, so now we're at the section of the video where I bring in Jamie Rubio, a historian who knows so much information about the Conjuring House, and it's really fascinating hearing from her. Jamie, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Jamie, I'll be upfront here. One of the things I never really understood about the Conjuring House, in all the research I did before I actually went there, and then the question was no further answered for me after I left. Who or what is even supposed to be haunting the Conjuring House?
Well, according to the Conjuring House website, just up until recently, they were claiming Abigail Cook Arnold's ghost is haunting the house, and some wandering spirit named Matthew K., who allegedly died in 1888, and his spirit did not see the light. So he decided to wander to their house and stay there. Now, if you go on their website, they've changed all that, and now they say it's Abigail and her husband John Arnold that are haunting the house. So they've changed, they've swapped out ghosts.
Yeah, this is the thing. Like, I don't really understand who or what is supposed to be haunted, because one minute it's demonic, the next it's like a malevolent spirit. If it's any of the Arnolds, I don't understand why there would be anything sinister.
And I've also noticed this. People, they just said no seances or anything like that. And I'm not sure if Ouija boards would actually be labeled under that seance category, but if there's no such thing or allowed to have seances there, why would you purposely put a couple of Ouija boards on the fireplace mantle? Are you trying to tease them? Oh, hey, we said not to, but wink, wink, here they are. Maybe you should. I don't know. Why would you do that? I mean, I know they do it because it's paranormal, it's creepy-esque, and that's why they have a lot of Raggedy Anns too, because of the Annabelle doll. But, God, it's such a shame, man. This house is so gorgeous. I really mean that. I love this place. It's such a shame to see what's happened. It really is. And I guess the Ouija boards aren't a big deal, or the Raggedy Anns are really cool. I like Raggedy Anns, but it just sucks. And now they're changing the spirits' names, so this is the actual one that's haunting. We got it wrong. But how do you get it wrong when you had two people who supposedly could communicate with these spirits? So how would you get those names wrong? I just don't know. It just makes no sense.
Happening there, but it always seems to be
TheSideEyeGuy.
some sort of sinister presence in the house. And I can't help but think that is purely there to get people scared and excited and to bring people in to add an element of danger. Where would this sinister energy be coming from?
We're usually used to dealing with things like spirits or ghosts. This was something else. We think we were dealing with demons again.
I honestly don't know. I mean, the former owner said that the house wasn't haunted and she lived there for 30 years. So from the people I've talked to who have either lived there or stayed there many times over the years, nobody had anything happen to them that they would consider some sort of an evil paranormal experience.
One of the big claims I also hear, Jamie, is that the land is haunted. I hear this a lot. And one of the big things I hear is that there was supposed to be a battle site. I believe it's called the King Philip's War. Is that correct?
Right. And that was in the 1600s. And from my knowledge, it did not take place on that land right there. It took place elsewhere. And the only Revolutionary War battle that ever took place in that area was in Newport, which was 60 miles east of there. So there's no battle that ever took place on that land.
The more you look into it, the less likely it is that there's any reason. It started with Bathsheba. That's now been dispelled. Then they went on to, it's the land. I've also heard people say things about Native American burial sites, which is always the fail-safe for all these haunted house locations, that it's always a Native American burial site.
Right.
And then we go to the King Philip's War, which you've just disproven, and I just can't see what is supposed to be haunting that place, and especially what kind of evil or negative energy is supposed to be haunting that place. Even by the law of the house.
They even have an Amityville horror poster in there, which has the only thing that's really connected with the Amityville horror house is obviously the Warrens. It's crazy, man. People ask me all the time, you say a lot of things about paranormal investigators and certain paranormal videos and whatnot. I'm not sitting here saying that, I don't want to label anybody as fake. There's a couple times I have, because I think it's so obviously in our faces, but I don't like to label people as fake. I don't like to label people as con artists. I really don't. It's not a good feeling, because I actually like a lot of people on YouTube. And people always ask me, do you even believe in the paranormal? Of course I do. That's the thing. I believe in the paranormal 100%. One of the reasons why I have a passion for it. But I also believe in liars. I believe in con artists. I believe in people taking advantage of people like me who believe and just want to make a buck off of it. I believe in all that stuff. I'm not, I'm open-minded about it. And even if I like somebody on here, even if I love their content, doesn't mean I also am not like aware that I could be being lied to. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I feel like I've definitely changed as a content creator, where I used to just buy most of the stuff I saw. I used to put a lot of faith into people. I put a lot of trust in. I still do. I like to hold my hand out and say, you know what, man, I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt here. Please do not break my heart. And I've had my heart broken a couple times by content creators. And I'm not going to lie about that. I know it's probably going to get me to lose some subscribers. No, I'm just being real. That's all I can do, guys. My channel is just a reaction channel. I talk to you guys. I give my honest thoughts. That's all I can do. I'm not trying to be some crazy wizard at what I do. I just want to give my honest thoughts. And to be honest, I've seen a lot of suspicious things. And I got to thank the debunking community. I know a lot of people like to label the debunking community as the part of the community that is just toxic and wants to hurt people's feelings. But no, it's not fun. Okay, we're all going to get our feelings hurt. But that's life. We learn things about people that just aren't true. And sometimes it hurts our feelings. And to see this, to hear this stuff by somebody who knows the area, who knows the history, saying that there was actually never a war on the property, that speaks volumes, especially to where we were meant to believe that there was a war that happened on the property. It's crazy, man.
Itself, it's completely inconsistent.
Right. And on top of that, there has never been a murder, there has never been a suicide, and there's never been a drowning on that property. I've done the research. I've gone all the way back to the beginning when the first structures were built there. There is nothing sinister that has ever taken place on that land.
While we were at the Conjuring House, our tour guide and the caretaker was a guy by the name of Brian.
He's not the Messiah, he's a very naughty boy.
I got to admit, I was hoping for Cody Satori, but Brian was still a lovely guy all the same.
Now go away!
We have no footage of Brian because it's stipulated that we are not allowed to film the caretakers while they give their tour. When you stay at the Conjuring House, there is a caretaker that stays with you overnight. You don't actually see him for most of your time at the Conjuring House.
No, I'm pretty sure.
But he needs to be there in case something goes wrong or you just need assistance with anything. This is not uncommon for overnight experiences at haunted locations. During our tour, Brian outright denied the Bathsheba Sherman myth. And speaking of this myth, let's hear from Jamie about it. Can you please tell us about the truth behind Bathsheba Sherman?
Well, the story that was in the film was completely fabricated. The stories in Andrea Perron's book were actually fabricated as well. The truth of the matter is that Bathsheba Sherman was an innocent victim who was slandered in the 1970s, and no time sooner than that. They blamed her to be the entity haunting the house on Round Top Road in Burrillville, Rhode Island, the entity that allegedly terrorized the Perron family. But in reality, she was just a normal lady. She was a Baptist. She died at the age of 73 years old at home in her bed from a stroke of paralysis. She did not hang herself at the property as the film portrays her to be. She was never accused of being a witch. She was never accused of any wrongdoings. She never murdered anyone, and there were no deaths at her hand at any point in time. And she had no association to the house on Round Top Road. So all of that has been completely fabricated.
And was one of her children or any of her children ever pierced at the back of the head with a sewing needle?
No, that was made up. And my assumption is that the Warrens made that story up. Believe it or not, there's even a book in the archives over there called The Black Book of Burrillville. And somebody chronicled all of the odd deaths, suspicious suicides, things like that. And Bathsheba's not in it, and her kids aren't in it. So, their deaths were just normal, natural causes or, illness, nothing nefarious.
So, Jamie, can you explain to us where this story first originated about Bathsheba being this witch and killing her own children?
Lorraine,
Where
I'm
did
guessing.
this start?
It started in Burrillville in August of 1973, and it is believed to have started with Carolyn Perrin.
So Carolyn must have just done some research into the history, and for some reason she just plucked Bathsheba's name out of the history books.
Well, my theory is because the parents had a dog named Bathsheba when they were living elsewhere before they even moved to Burrillville. So that name was a familiar name with the family. The dog had been hit by a car and died, so it wasn't there with them anymore.
That's
Carolyn talked to a lady named Donna Eisenstadt, who was part of the Parapsychology Investigatory and Research Organization, also known as PYRO. She sought PYRO out to talk about how she believed there was an entity in the house. This is when the name Bathsheba came up. Donna believed that Carolyn came up with that when she was at the cemetery walking around.
Oh, okay. And speaking of the cemetery, of course, Bathsheba's grave to this day is desecrated.
Yes.
So
it's
heartbroken.
been vandalized.
They literally got so tired of putting that thing back together that they just left it. That is so fucked up and heartbroken. That is sick. That's sick. Hell, even if for some miraculous reason this was all true about Bathsheba Sherman being what she was, even Andrea Perrin was crying at the thought that this person had their grave or tombstone desecrated. And look, this is what happens when you fucking label people to be witches or evil or whatever, and this person wasn't even alive to defend themselves. Imagine having that legacy. Imagine knowing, let's say I die one day. I die and natural causes, and 20 to 30 years down the road, 40 years, or however long, 100 years, all of a sudden some random kids go to my house and my name gets brought up somehow, like Jake Hart's Arts, and I'm haunting the place and I was like an evil person behind locked doors. I murdered my own cats, and all of a sudden people start believing I'm a horrible person, and then all of a sudden this house starts getting spray painted, desecrated. People start leaving, I don't know, bags of piling shit burning at the front door. I don't know. Just crazy shit like that because I was apparently an evil person. It's not right. It's really sickening and wrong and not right. And the people who made that up and fabricated it should be ashamed. Should be 100% ashamed of themselves. I pray that that never happens to them. That someone tries to run their name through the mud and they start getting desecrated. Fucking horrible.
So many times. The stones
Imagine that. Imagine being convicted of murdering a baby with a sewing needle, and you never even did it. Fucking crazy.
had a lot of damage over the years, and when it finally was vandalized for the last time, it was irreparable. So Betty at the Historical Society had to take it into permanent storage.
Brian pretty much said all of the same points Jamie just explained. I asked Brian if he and the other caretakers who work at the Conjuring House make sure that all the guests that come through hear this same debunk of the Bathsheba Sherman myth. Brian explained to me that he does this, but he could not speak for all the other caretakers, which is fair. But it does make me wonder if the other caretakers do say the Bathsheba
Shout out to Brian, by the way, a real G.
Sherman thing is BS, then why are there still so many paranormal investigating YouTube teams who spin this well-known debunked narrative?
I am Bathsheba. Okay.
And Lorraine Warren said that this house is haunted by a malevolent spirit, and they think that it was Bathsheba Sherman, who at the time was considered a witch.
Over 100 years ago, a woman named Bathsheba Sherman had once lived on this land. Rumor has it that one day she was babysitting a neighboring child when that child was eventually found dead from a needle wound in the back of its head. Now immediately she was accused to have done it because she was the last one to have seen the child, but nothing was ever proven. But this is where it gets weirder. Not long after that, her husband would apparently witness her taking their own child's life before immediately pledging her allegiance to the devil and cursing all who would live on her land.
Bullshit.
I think, did he say allegedly? So these people, well, it's not really a mystery that Twin Paranormal doesn't do a significant amount of research. And look, I'm going to be honest, I didn't really know all that myself. So this is like, I mean, I knew that Bathsheba Sherman was obviously had her name ran through the mud. When I first saw the Conjuring movie, was I like everybody else? I was. And I'm ashamed to say that. I think everybody who might find out the truth one day will be ashamed of that. I'm ashamed that I thought that was legitimately how it was. But opening my mind, listening to the real facts and the real stories. I wish her nothing but peace. I hope she rests in peace. It's absolutely heartbreaking what's happened to your name. It's horrible. I hope people stop. I hope people stop running that with that narrative. I really do. I really, really do. I don't care what paranormal channel you are. Stop running with the narrative that Bathsheba Sherman was a witch who murdered her child. Horrible. You don't have the proof. You don't have the documentation. And if some historical buff is telling you that there is no documentation, you should probably go with it.
Also, while on this tour, Brian told us that he would rather we did not wander around the grounds during the night, which was pretty disappointing since I kept hearing the grounds of the Conjuring House is as haunted as the house itself, if not more haunted. And the reasons why he asked us not to wander around the grounds at night, the neighbors might complain about the noise. The grounds of the Conjuring House is pretty big. I couldn't even see the next house over. So, for $2,350, we were asked to not leave the house. Meanwhile, when a huge channel like Project Fear filmed at the Conjuring House, they were allowed to wander out and about filming all sorts of nonsense for hours on end with Cody and Satori. So yeah,
and they were screaming. They were screaming and running and making a lot of noise out there too. So if the neighbors were out there, they would have been pissed off, right?
A bitter taste in my mouth. Now, I'm not blaming Brian for this. I'm sure he was told from his boss. Last point on Brian, I asked him, because I just had to, if he had witnessed Cody and Satori's toe-tapping method. Brian said he had, and he outright believed it was legit. He told me that you really have to see it for yourself, and then when you do see it in person, you will not believe it's fake. Now, I have to admit, I have obviously not seen this done in person, but even still, I just cannot believe that that is legit. I just can't. Oh. Lastly, Jamie, I've just got to ask you, since that house is so old and so many different families would have lived there, how many of these different owners of the house claimed there was any kind of hauntings?
There's only 2 families that have ever claimed the house was haunted, and both of them stand to make money. Number 1, the parents. Number 2, the Heinzens. They're the only families that have ever really said that the house is haunted. They could try to say Norma said it, but it's a long story. Norma had the ghost hunters in, I want to say, the early 2000s, but she just thought it would be funny to have them out there. She didn't think anything would come out of it. She's a skeptic. She doesn't believe in any of that. Pam Kenyon, her dad was raised there his whole life. Her grandma and grandpa lived there. All of her ancestors lived there for over 200 years. She stayed over there a lot growing up. She said the house is not haunted. So really the only people that have ever said it was haunted are the Perrins and the Heinzens.
Well, Jamie, thank you very much for taking the time to explain some of this and clearing up the real...
I'll be checking your channel out, Jamie. That was very informative. I appreciate that.
...history of the Conjuring House. I've really enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you for having me on.
Next up, I want to talk about the structure of the house itself. As you saw earlier in that wave...
For me, I do think there's a haunting going on. I do. I'm actually one of those people who actually believes the house could be haunted. I would love to investigate it and try to, go around and do it myself. But at this rate, I just don't. I have no interest. I just don't. And it's sad, man, because I think the house is beautiful.
That it stated and warned that the floorboards in this house are not great. Pretty much every step you take in every single room in this house, bar the basement, creaks. We were there on a cold, windy winter night, and when the wind really picks up, the whole house creaks. But I have seen very few ghost hunting channels who go to the Conjuring House actually bring this point up. They all seem to ignore that this is a very old house, and it does just make noise. And I think that's a very important detail to admit. Many of these channels freak out.
I'm beginning to notice that a lot, where these YouTubers are warned beforehand what the house is capable of. Like Sam and Colby with the whole Ram In, I think is what it's called. Goat Ram In or something like that. There was a sign apparently that told investigators that the local children make noises, so be ready for that. And then they heard a girl voice and they tried to make it out like it was paranormal. But there's a sign in the downstairs before you head up apparently that says, guys, there's children around the area, be aware of that. And they still did it. But they never showed us this sign. They never acknowledged this sign, but it would have been very important to do so, because then we would have had we would have known that, oh, it could have been just a kid. But they don't do that. So to them, it's not even lying. It's just not telling you everything that you should probably know, right? because a lot of us don't have the money to go out there and investigate these places. We don't know for sure if there was ever a sign down there, but thanks to a lot of debunkers who have gone to these locations, they pointed out for us, saying, hey guys, by the way, there was a sign, or there's like information in the contract that tells you about this stuff.
Over knocks and creaks they heard while asking questions to the ghosts. But honestly, the house just naturally has noises all the time because it's so old. Also, it's worth noting that there is a pretty busy road right next to the house, which makes a lot of noise that can be heard inside the Conjuring House. Again, I never hear this getting brought up. There are a couple of other little annoying things that just triggered me while we were at the Conjuring House. Like, one of the rules is you're not allowed to use Ouija boards while at the Conjuring House. However, I
just thought of this. If I ever do an investigation at this location, I might even think about trying to get a recorder or something to put like next to the road to see if a car drives by or anything. Just so we know every time when there's a noise outside, if it's a car passing by, we'll know it's a car passing by, and I won't just automatically say, that was weird sound. So, I don't know.
There are 2 Ouija boards on the fireplace, a Ouija board pillow, and even a Ouija board blanket on the sofa. Furthermore, Cody and Satori call themselves the human Ouija boards, and yet they were allowed to do their bullshit methods inside the house without any issues.
Just for anyone new who may be watching, they hold hands and stuff starts happening, knocking, movement. They're almost like the human Ouija board, is what you say.
I guess so, yeah.
But whatever. I also don't understand why there's a replica of the Annabelle doll in its little hutch inside the Conjuring House. I know the Warrens are involved in the Conjuring House as well as Annabelle, but Annabelle has absolutely nothing to do with the Conjuring House. So as far as I'm concerned, this just looks silly being here. The last thing that I want to talk about is this section of the building. The Conjuring House is small. There are more rooms that you would expect in this small property, but some of these rooms are tiny. This part of the building, which has an attic too, is one of the bigger rooms of the Conjuring House. However, under the Conjuring House's new management, you are only allowed access in this room at the very beginning and the very end of your stay at the Conjuring House. Because this is now the gift shop. That's right, everyone. The big, bad, scary Conjuring House has a gift shop. And relative to the size of this house, this is actually a pretty big gift shop.
It's a nice mug.
The gift shop is quite possibly...
Don't fuck with us or we'll fuck with you. The spirits. That's great. Painting a narrative that the spirits will fuck you up if you do anything. That's nice. That's nice. Speak for them, right? We always have to do that. Speak for the spirits themselves, like the whole method bullshit. Sorry, I know there might be some people out there, a fan of Satori and Cody. That's fine. I'm just saying. They like the F-bomb. They love the F-bomb.
The biggest room
I like
in
it
the
too.
whole bloody house. Because, you know,
oh, you didn't buy it?
Of course it is.
Damn.
So if you were to book overnight for a stay at the Conjuring House investigating, this whole section of the house is locked up and you have no access to it. And I know for a fact that this is a change since Jacqueline Nunez took control of the Conjuring House. Corey and Jen, who used to own the Conjuring House before Jacqueline, had this room fully accessible for anyone to investigate. So when Corey and Jen had ownership of the Conjuring House, this seemed to be the main entrance into the building. But now, this is the main entrance into the building from the car park area. I would say having this much of the building shut off is probably about 25 to 30% of the overall Conjuring House being non-accessible.
Crazy.
So yeah, that $1,500 is looking even less value for money now.
No, at this rate, she should just be charging you like fucking $300 to $400 at this rate, because most of the place, even the grounds, apparently you can't even investigate, are completely... It's bullshit, man.
To not go outside, and even 25% of the house you can't gain entry into. This building was small enough before all of these stipulations, but now you've got a whole night in just really a handful of rooms to stay in. And believe me, it can get pretty boring pretty quickly. This also annoyed me because I wanted to go into the attic of that extension, because this is where some Sam and Colby fans believed that they saw a ghost head from the window on the outside of the building. And I wanted to go into that attic to see if there was a fan or a light mounted on the ceiling.
And then on the left here, it's slow-mo and zoomed up for you guys all to see together. Literally looks like it's peeking out. I'm gonna pause it right here. Boom. Okay, right there. We obviously don't have enough information to tell 100%, but almost identical.
With all due respect, talking about.
All in all, I would struggle to recommend anyone goes to the Conjuring House. Unless you're a massive channel and then Jacqueline will roll out the red carpet for you. You will most likely feel cheated and taken advantage of while you are at the Conjuring House
Not a fan.
under the current management. Am I saying the Conjuring House is definitely not haunted? Not necessarily. A lot of people have been there and had experiences. And for me personally, I'll explain if anything happened to me or not when I do my reaction video while I was at the Conjuring House. But after speaking to Jamie about the history of the Conjuring House, it does start becoming a little bit difficult to believe the place is actually haunted, I gotta admit. If you have been to the Conjuring House either under its current ownership or previous owners, please let me know your experiences and thoughts in the comments. So, with all that being said, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. Cheerio!
Nice, man. Nice. That was a nice video, and I agree with him. It's a shame to see where the Conjuring House has gone from day one till now. What a downgrade. What an absolute downgrade. And the fact that you'd pay that much money just to be pretty much told, no, you can't do that. No, you can't go in this part of the building. Yeah, it doesn't seem right. It feels, yeah, completely shitty. And for the fact that he got an actual historian to go on there and say that this is not what happened, that there's no murders on the property, there's no this, there's no that, it's all been fabricated to make it look haunted, is honestly really unfortunate to hear. For sure. It's definitely something to put in the back of your mind, to keep in mind too when you go, if you ever go to this location. I'm not sure how many people are still interested in going, but I can only imagine it's probably a few handful of people at this rate. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. What would you prefer? What would you like to see done with the Conjuring House? Do you still want to, do you think that this owner has a chance to bring it back to the glory days, or do you think it just needs a new fresh start entirely? Let me know in the comment section. I'll see you guys in the next video. Please do take care, and again, go support the original video and give them a lot of love. See ya.
Throwing down, coming after me if you call.